Oh, recording started now. Awesome. That was quick
Here
with me
we are.
scratching my eyeball. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 115 of the Aquarius podcast featuring Dr. Ted Coletti. I have an intro for him, but first, I'm going to actually, no, let's do your intro. All right. And I think
Sure.
maybe this might be the first video podcast for the Aquarius podcast that I actually put up. Normally, I like to save my audience from having to look at my face. Well, you could still just
Same here.
listen to my voice, which is very congested. And then I get to do another podcast later today. So, with that being said, today's date is Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. My guest today is Dr. Ted Coletti. Ted is a well-known figure in the hobby, having authored books, articles, and given numerous talks at fish clubs and conventions all across the country. Ted is a returning guest, having been on the podcast. Get ready for this, Ted. Back in the Wayback Time Machine, March 26th of 2020 for episode 77. That was
Wow.
over 5 years ago.
So
That
that
doesn't seem possible.
so that was 220 BC, before COVID. It was like right at the between BC and AC, right at the border there. Okay.
Yeah, that was those
When the
fun
world
times.
changed. Yeah.
Fun times 5 years ago. That is
It's
wild. I
crazy.
feel like I have aged more than 5 years in that time span, but alas, here we are. That's why I wear a backwards hat. It's to try to like reduce my age. But
Yeah.
if I didn't wear a hat, it would add like four. That's a pro tip, Ted. Wear a backwards hat
Really?
to knock 5 years off your age.
Well, my hair is the only good feature of my physical appearance, so I think I'm going to just go with that. So I still have my hair, so I better as well show it. I can't really show anything else worthy.
Ted,
So
the hair looks good. The
yeah.
rest of you, I think you're a complete package. Don't sell yourself short, all right?
All right. You know that I'm married, right, Randy? I mean, come on, really. Okay.
Hey, the fish gals out there, you just
Oh yeah,
we
right.
won't share your email address, all
Oh
right?
yeah, sure,
All
sure.
right, so as always, let's pay some bills. And it's hilarious that I say that because I'm an employee of Aquarium Co-op, but I love doing this anyway. This episode is sponsored by none other than Aquarium Co-op. And today, folks, we're going to talk about the magic small fish feed. Absolutely supreme food out there. I think we've had it out for at least a year now, maybe more, but this
Hmm.
food is phenomenal. You can feed it from everything from like newly hatched fry, like possibly even down to maybe, dare I say, rainbow fish size, depending on the rainbow fish, all the way up to I've had in my own personal experience, what's the largest fish that I've had eating it? Let's go with I've had rice fish eat it, and I've also had Rosie Barb's eating it, which, as people know, I don't have a fish room set up right now. So those are the biggest fish that I have in my possession. But everything loves this. Shrimp love it. Snails love it. Fry love it. Ted, you said you also have some experience with this food.
Yeah, I mean, I both at my aquarium clubs that I go to, on the YouTube Fish Fam, and at the Keystone Clash, it always comes up. The Aquarium Co-op small fish feed, everyone seems to be using now. The small fish feed, because there's both the community and also the small fish. There's like two,
There's the community pellet. There's the easy community
right? There's
floating
community
pellet.
pellet. Right, and the small fish feed, for I'm in a community with a lot of people who breed fish, and they love that small fish feed because it stays in the water column, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
gives it time; it just doesn't sink. So people are, raving about it. So
It's got the neutral
kudos.
buoyant, yeah, it's got the neutral buoyancy. It was something that once Corey started testing it out, and he was just completely like over the moon about it. And I've worked with him long enough to know that like when there's like the lightning strike moments, like we
Yeah,
try we try our best to like do the best product testing that we can, the longest term product testing, and launch things that will actually help people and not just to like
yeah,
fill product gaps of like when we
yeah,
have to have all these. And he was incredibly ecstatic about this food. And I would say that during this crazy time of tariffs and order uncertainty of not like going a few months between our brine shrimp orders, which October 28th right now we have brine shrimp on order, our Aquarium Co-op
Oh,
brine
good.
shrimp. Not trying to plug that, but
We've been
we've been
waiting for it. Yeah.
it's a phenomenal brine. It's like the best brine shrimp out there for hatching live baby brine. But this has been a solid, I don't want to say substitute, but like almost an alternative, and not
Yeah.
really like you. I don't think, and even Dean has echoed this, where you're not really missing too much of a beat by not having the live baby brine shrimp when you have Magic Small Fish Feed to feed as an
Yeah.
alternative. So yeah, it
Well,
seems like,
I think, one of the nice things about what you guys do at Aquarium Co-op, you guys were hobbyists first, right? And
I'm not a very good one, but I
right.
try.
And Corey was heavily involved in a fish club. So you guys are making products with a hobbyist mindset, right? Whereas, I think a lot of companies make it with either a fish farmer mindset or a manufacturer mindset or a marketing type of mindset. They have to do market research and then interpret that. You guys are involved in the hobby. You're like, we need this in the hobby. We need something like that. And I think that's what makes your company unique, and why these products come to market that I think people get rather excited about.
Yeah, I've said it before that it's more of a testament to our millennial laziness, where we're always looking for the easiest route possible to be efficient and get work done. And I think we see that in the fish room. Like, how can I make this easier or better? Because if you make it easier, then you're going to do it
Right.
more. You're more likely to do it, and whatever that thing is in a fish room, you're probably going to be more successful in what your aim is. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
kind of our would ethos be the correct term? Is that a thing? Am I getting too
Ethos.
far off into the philosophy
I think
business
that's a
statement world?
I think that's a good SAT word for
There
today.
we go.
Ethos. Everyone use ethos one time in a sentence today. That is your mission.
There you
In a
go.
text, or you have to use the word.
In high school, I tried to bring back the word Jonesin, and so if people also wanted to use their Jonesin for something, like you're Jonesin for this new
Yeah.
the incredible Easy Green Man T-shirt just launched last night, I think. So
How
that's
did
one of
that
our
go?
this shirt.
No, I
What
mean
do you,
actually trying to make people use the word Jonesin. How
I
did
got a
that go?
couple. I got a couple
You,
people.
you got
I
a
got a
couple.
couple.
Okay.
Yeah. I at least gave them awareness. And so
Mm.
from 2002, back when I was in high school, I would wager that a couple people have said Jones, and hopefully because of me. And just like, I would love to, like, I want somebody to be like, hey, man, I have a pawpaw tree now because I listened to you ramble
Yes.
on about pawpaws on a fish podcast.
So
Like
you're
that,
planting the seed, to pardon a pun,
literally
with
and
verbally
figuratively.
and with other things. And if you keep telling yourself that it'll come to fruition, you'll have a nice day. So,
Yeah, there we
yeah.
go. I appreciate that, Dr. Ted. All right, sir. I have rambled on enough. I would love to catch back up with you. I mean, you are, you're out there, you're in the pond world. You're I remember last time you also gave you talked to me about, I think, swordtails, right? You gave
Yeah, we did
some
swordtails
live
and
bear.
fatties, and we
Yeah.
ventured into tub ponds a bit. I
Hmm.
think we still have to talk about that. And there's a lot of things in this hobby that kind of interest me. I don't tend to stay on one topic, but when I do something, I tend to get pretty focused on it in a pretty obsessive way, which I don't think is good, but hobbies tend to be obsessive if you do them right. So,
Yeah. Well, you having an obsessive nature, Corey has an obsessive nature. It benefits guys like me that have a more of a passive interest. And so all
mm,
of the hard work that you guys do, all of the excruciating nail biting, like, the depths that you guys dive into and the findings that you bring to the surface helps the casual guy like me come along and be like, oh, that's how you do that. Okay. I guess I'll benefit from all like Ted and Corey and
so we've
Rosario
actually
and
fooled you because we're just making this up as we go along, and you think it's expertise knowledge. Hey, my mission
well
is done.
when you project with confidence, right? And it's not it's like plant names. You don't not everybody knows how to say the plant names, but if you say Wency with confidence, then that's how people are going to pronounce that particular plant, you know?
That's right. Oh boy.
So yeah, today I know one of the topics, or one of the main topics that we wanted to talk about, was your passion around fish clubs.
Yeah.
And I think you actually infected Corey a little bit at the Keystone Clash.
I think I did. I was really excited about that. I watched your Into the Mulm podcast, which if you join Aquarium Co-op, you can get access to that. And that's a great live feed with you, Zenzo, and Corey. When you're not talking about pawpaws and that god awful pineapple pizza that you and I have to have a long
There it
conversation
is.
about.
There it is. We've unmasked him
The
in
proper
public.
term is infomnia. Corey struggled because he's not Italian saying that, but that is an infomnia against New York pizza people. But I do grow pawpaw, so all is forgiven. So right.
Hmm.
Yeah, I spoke about that at both of my talks, that how I think it's so important that you don't have to make this crazy. You can just get together with friends and if anyone would like to speak to me about doing this, and Corey was really jazzed about this, and Zenzo too, and it looks like he wants to make this one of his points too, to have people go, hey, just getting together physically with people. Your club doesn't have to be this old school organized style club that is stressful, which Corey and I both have experience with. It could be just with people getting together, sitting around a table. So my club is a hybrid approach between those two, and so I'm very, very excited that Corey's gonna, you know, wave that flag with me. This is something I have a real passion about, and so happy to
Yeah.
talk to you about it today, Randy.
Yeah, and so to take a step back, kind of the idea being that hobbies, life, if you will, is done best in community, right? It's not, you know,
Yeah,
not living or doing your hobbies in a vacuum. If you have a bingo card for me, I'm going to talk about Warhammer. So Warhammer also is a hobby that, you know, you're sure you're painting miniatures, but it's also a game, and so you have this,
yeah,
you know, social contract where you're getting together with somebody, you're agreeing to have a good time while you play this game, and hopefully you're talking and enjoying and getting to know that person over 2, 3, 4 hours of gaming. But then also there's a side of that hobby where the painting aspect, which we typically view as a solo activity, can actually be really fulfilling when you do it in a group or with friends, right? And so I
yeah,
think, you know, applying the same idea to fish, right, and aquariums, we know that fish clubs are, I don't want to say the gold standard, but we know that, oh, if I want to be social and talk with other fish nerds because my family and friends are sick and tired of hearing me talk about my wet pets in my glass boxes,
right.
I need to go to a fish club. I need to find an official, sanctioned, and ordained fish club, and I must go to their monthly meeting. Hopefully, it's not 3 hours away, and
Right.
then I can, you know, then
Right.
I can enjoy my hobby. But you're saying that's only one way
That's
to
only
be in
one way.
community.
And you know, Randy, you really hit on something here. What you said is, I need to find my tribe, right? And so we're talking about something that's very primal. You know, they even say now the reason why the Neanderthals died out and Homo sapiens survived is, if you look at the archaeology, we were in larger groups. We're in larger groups. We are such a social creature by our nature. But look what's happened to our entire culture in the past 25 years. We've become more and more isolated, right?
Hmm.
And so fish clubs, I think, go back to really a primal need to be around other people that we're kind of losing, and we've been losing
Hmm.
it for quite a while now. So it's very important for me, I think, not only for you to gain more knowledge, to trade fish, to get new species, but just to make new friends and bounce ideas off, to be in community with someone with a shared interest. That's primal. And it's something that I think we've lost, and we're starting to get back now,
Well,
thankfully.
we're isolated, but we're receiving far more like than we ever have before through digital media, right?
Right.
Well,
But
so
it's
we're
not
physically
really, yeah.
right. We're physically isolated. We're receiving in just just like mountain loads of
We're
information, but we're
bombarded
not
with
but we're
sound
not
bites. Yeah.
yeah, we're not like actually having dialogue though. We're not bouncing our own unique
No.
ideas. We're not discussing things with each other. And I also think that we're kind of in this place where people are, at least on forums, you know, you had more vocal people on forums, but kind of everybody, you know, is more it's easier to participate on forums than I think in the current social media landscape. And what I'm getting at is that there are personalities that, you know, you think that, oh,
Yes.
because you have a platform, you have a right to talk. I don't have a platform, therefore I don't have a right to talk and share my ideas. But that's not really true, because if you just got
Yeah.
around with a group of fish nerds, you probably have some good experiences that you
Right.
could share.
And yes, and I think being in person gets rid of, I call, the dark side of internet communication, whereas people, I'll use an Italian expression, grow cogliones when they go online and start to text, right? They figured it's sort of, there's an anonymity and you can say whatever you want. Some people
Yeah.
are flamers, some people are just trolls. But when you're in person with one-on-one sitting around a table eating food, a civility comes out, right? And you have to have a conversation right there. And I think that's what the real meaning comes from, being in community that way. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with being on YouTube forums and Facebook. I do it every day. It's a great outlet to connect with people. It's convenient, but it shouldn't be the replacement, because just genetically, primally, that's not who we are. That's not how we work best.
Hmm.
And you can get so much more out of your hobby, even if you're an aquarium hobbyist, meeting other hobbyists face to face. That's what I really have a passion about encouraging people to do. But sadly, the way aquarium clubs have been done for the past, since the turn of the 20th century, circa 1900 or so, has kind of makes it very stressful and very bureaucratic to do that. And I think the point I made at the clash that Corey and Zenzo hooked onto is, it doesn't have to be that way. It could be
Hmm.
much more simple. Um, and that's kind of the uh, topic today. And actually, today at 3 o'clock, I'm meeting with another hobbyist. I forget where she lives. I met her at the class. She wants information on how to start a club, but it seems so overwhelming. If you go
Hmm.
to the Federation of American Aquarium Societies, you read how to do that, you're just going to walk away. It is just,
Hmm.
it seems like you're starting a corporation. And
Bylaws and
well, you know why? Because that kind of happened when the aquarium hobby came about. When the tropical fish hobby came about, it started with German immigrants, right, in New York City, and they would form these small clubs. And my old friend, the late great Al Clay, he was a member of the Aquarium Hobby Historical Society with me, which is a group that I founded back in 2002. And I loved him, but I disagreed with him with just one thing. He sort of dismissed those early clubs as, quote, clannish, when really they were kind of on target of what a club should be. Then more sophisticated people got involved, and the first aquarium society was founded, and it was set up with board of directors, and people wore suits and ties and official meetings. And that's kind of been the same structure we've had ever since. But there
hmm.
have been alternatives over the years. And when I formed my club, I said, I've got to do this differently, because I've seen so many hobbyists burn out. I've seen things go on at aquarium clubs which would turn your head around. And it doesn't have to be that way. It could just be guys and gals and children and families getting together to share some food, talk fish, and have an auction. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that, but I think we make it a little too complicated, and it lends itself, I think, to problems. So, that's what to, speak with you today about.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to dive on into what do you think? I guess so. You've already kind of talked about the genesis of it. Do you want to talk about where somebody could
Yeah,
go and
well,
how to
you
start it?
know, a little more about the genesis. Are you familiar with this book, Bowling Alone?
By Robert D. Putnam. No, I'm not.
This is one of the most famous
The
nonfiction books in the United States. It came out in the 1980s.
what
1990 was
what was
just
the what under
updated.
what do they call that underneath the main title, like the subtitle or the title
The
description?
Collapse and Revival of American Community.
Mm, okay.
And what this book did was, he noticed, he's a sociologist, that people weren't forming bowling leagues anymore. He saw more
Mm,
people bowling alone. And he said, since the early 70s, when television became better, I mean, that was a significant shift in TV during the early 70s, both cable and the type of programming that became more interesting on TV. People started staying home more,
mm,
and video games then came about, and all types of civic organizations. If you look at the fish club hobby, it began to collapse around the same time, 1972-ish. Bowling leagues, any civic organizations, Knights of Columbus, Rotary, any hobby groups, they all began to decline. We became more isolated. So imagine, in fact, got so bad in right before COVID, the U.S. Surgeon General came out, said there is an epidemic going on in the U.S. She wasn't speaking about COVID. COVID hadn't hit yet. It was loneliness.
Mm.
Loneliness was actually, from the Surgeon General, is considered an epidemic. And then when the internet hit, we became more isolated, social media. So imagine what happened when COVID hit, right? We were all forced into this. And so it is so important, I think, that we kind of try to bring that back, a sense of community. And fish clubs are good at doing that, right? They're really good, no matter how you set up your fish club, they're good at finding your tribe, right? People like you had said, don't mind talking about fish endlessly, whereas you're boring your family on Thanksgiving
Mm-hmm.
with this. So I think really, it is so important that we do this more, and I'm so encouraged. I'm seeing more and more people and more clubs starting to form again. One of the, if there's not many good things came out of COVID, usually everything came out was really bad, but one thing that did come out, the hobby's slow decline stopped. I was at the Clash and I walked into the vendor room. The, the 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 demographic is so different now. There's younger people in the hobby. COVID brought people into this hobby. They were at home. They started fish tanks. Why
Mm-hmm.
are things like zebra danios popular again? Those were fish that I dismissed and other people, pre-COVID, all us old timers. So there's a new resurgence of people in the hobby, and they want to get together and meet. They're doing it on social media, but more say, hey, these fish events, these fish clubs, these swap meets are real interesting. Swap meets are the thing that's real popular now here in the
Mm-hmm.
US. They haven't hit the Northeast yet, but these swap meets where you just get a bunch of vendors to sell their fish, average hobbyists, and people get together. People are enjoying that not just for the fish available, but the people they meet. So there's a resurgence now. And I think what I'd like to see is people set up clubs the right way and not fall into some of the problems that I saw pre-COVID, where I've seen fish clubs collapse for a variety of reasons that we can go into and help people try to avoid those mistakes. So
Yeah. What do
that's a
you?
long-winded thing to start with.
Yeah, yeah. I would agree on the swap meet thing. The local Bluegrass Fish Keepers Association here in Lexington.
They're so
Um,
popular now, yeah.
yeah, I've gone to a couple. I've gone to one official meeting, and I've been very lazy on actually getting to the meetings. I really need to work on that. But I have gone to a swap meet also. It was a little bit farther out of the Lexington area, so a little bit of a drive to get to it. But
Yeah,
it was a great event. I mean, a good number of tables, and it is a smaller club. But it was a good swap meet. The one that I went to, I picked up a couple bristlenose plecos and picked up some shrimp.
right.
So yeah, it was fun, and you get to see what else other people have. I think some Carbenzis, a bunch more plecos. What do we see? Somebody had, what did they have? I think they had just sold all the blue Galaris that might have been there. But met a gentleman named Randy who recognized me, which I thought was pretty cool. So one Randy recognizing another Randy was
No,
pretty neat.
Randy.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. We're a very rare tribe, us Randys. So yeah, swap meets definitely. Some of our
Yeah.
retail partner stores. I think there's one in like the Iowa area, like the Quad City one, that looks like it's a pretty
The
big event.
quad, yeah, the Quad City, that's a totally new concept. That's done by a retailer. So
Mm,
it's not done by a nonprofit org, but he's very transparent. He says, I'm a retailer, and this could even affect his sales. He says, no, I want to get people together to sell fish. And people stay at a hotel the night before to go to
yeah.
these swap meets. Usually there's an admission to get in. So the swap meets are kind of really starting to, I think, incubate this notion of having clubs again. They haven't hit the Northeast yet. We're still doing all day auctions on Sunday, is still what we do here. But the
Mm,
swap meets you're seeing. I think they're not only good to get fish, but to meet people.
hmm.
So that's I think kind of. Can I show you and your viewers something
Yeah, absolutely.
to
While you pull
show
that up,
you?
I'm gonna grab a drink out of my fridge.
All right, you do that, and I'm gonna pull something up because I want everyone here to see this. Um, I'm gonna see if I can pull this up here.
Waterloo
You,
Sparkling Water, please sponsor the Aquarius podcast as well as Deep in the Mulm. Right here, Deep in the Mulm. Actually, There's a rumor Deep in the
yes,
Mulm might be made available for the general public. I don't know. There's some behind the scenes chatter. Might not happen though. Who knows? We'll see.
and Randy, I just need you to pull that into the
Oh, I got to
viewing
give you
area.
some. All right,
Yeah.
add to stage.
So what we
Oh,
see here, so what
I
we
love
see
this.
here to show you how big community was in the US. This is an Aquarium Club show from 1929. This is in the golden age of the hobby. It was so big with so many people coming out. They held it at an aircraft, um, um, I'm sorry, at a airplane hangar at Newark Airport. And
So that's
the,
probably
yes,
40. What is that like? Probably 600, 600 5-gallon tanks on display at
the
least.
governor came to the awards banquet. I mean, this is how big this was. In New York City, they had a fish show. They had tens of thousands of people show up for it. This is the way things were. And, you used to have clubs everywhere. I am in the most densely populated state in the nation, New Jersey. And New Jersey is a small state. You can drive across north, south in about 4 or 5 hours. Back in 1960, these are the clubs that were here. These are the general aquarium clubs that were in the state. And there were about six more specialty clubs, guppy clubs, killie clubs. You could drive to multiple aquarium club meetings every week. Back in 2015, we had three clubs left. So this is what I talk about, how things have really kind of, um, died out here. I'm going to stop sharing. Maybe I'll just press
Yeah.
stop sharing. So what happened, So we talked about what happened, but how can we kind of fix this? Well, um, one of the things that was causing, I think, causes a lot of problems in aquarium clubs are two things. It's number one, the personnel you get to run them, and two, the structure that you use to do them. The structure in most aquarium clubs is a traditional structure established when the first club formed back in 1900 in Jersey City. You have a board of directors, you have a board, you have elections. It's more formalized. Now, the meetings are not formal, but what happens is when you go to most aquarium clubs today, it's theater style seating, right? It's seating like where you have a speaker. How do you interact with people when you sit like that, right? Um, Maybe you have some time beforehand before they rush you in to hear a guest speaker. Then they have an auction. To my opinion, they're more entertainment venues and educational venues than actual community, right? Maybe you have some time at a break between the auction and the speaker, but I find they tend to be rather rushed. The other thing, they have elections, right? And as you know, Randy, if you try to get someone to, you know, get on your school board, try to get someone to join your PTA, try to get someone to get involved in anything
Hmm.
today. As we had talked about, community engagement is way down. So what happens is the people who often run for elections at these fish clubs are the people you don't want to run your fish club. You would like some of the other people to run, but they're too busy. They have lives, they have families. Both parents are working now, people have gig jobs, and the wrong people in place can cause some issues. Are you familiar with the name William T. Innes?
Yeah, yeah. The Innes
Right.
book.
He was the godfather of the aquarium hobby. I think you have his book there, right?
Do I have his
Right.
book? Yes.
If you
And I
look in the back of the book, can you look in the last part there? And
sure.
he has a little section called aquarium clubs. It's right
Let's
before
see
the
here.
index. And he gave advice 90 years ago of what the problems with our fish clubs. And I'll try to paraphrase it. He said,
Oh,
he
here we go.
says,
Aquarium societies. Yeah.
right. Can you read that passage about the creation of a functioning community and what
Let's
should
see
be done?
here. So we have show rules and practices, and then the next page is aquarium societies. So the little hat, it's like a little half page
Right.
section.
The last page is the most important thing there in the book.
All right.
Mhm.
Association with others interested in the same hobby is of inestimable value. Man, I don't ever say that word.
No,
Through friendly comparison of notes, many a rough spot is made smooth, or some bit of knowledge is picked up that is not found even in the best book. No author can think of everything, and that's coming from an author saying that. Very humble
that's
of you.
right.
That's nice. There
But
are
he
many
gave,
places.
but he gave a caution in there too.
There are many places in which there is sufficient interest to support a society, but where no effort at organization has yet been made. If a few will take the lead, others will follow. If you build it, they will come. The
They
most
will.
effective way of doing this is to put on a public exhibition, even though it be modest in size.
Right.
Newspapers, if approached, will give publicity in news items, or YouTubers. Now, right? We could
That's right.
we could modernize. We could actually
Right. You could
modernize
say
this.
that way. Now, further down, he gives a
Yeah.
caution about, he gives a very important caution, which is, I think, the main problem with aquarium clubs,
Um. Let's see
about
here. Let me
showing the back door.
show in the back door. Oh, here we go. Some societies have found themselves lacking a back door for the banishment of members who prove objectionable. This is a
Mhm.
convenience that should not be overlooked.
Yes, and that is one of the issues, is that how do you form a club? Because here is a little truism that I came up with. When you first walk into an aquarium club, it takes many people to make you want to come back, right? People need to be friendly. It only takes one bad person, one jerk, one I'm not going to use the proper term, but one person to make you not want to come back
Yeah.
again, right?
Yeah.
So it's very important, I think, that aquarium clubs curate their membership. Most clubs are set up as 501c3s or 501c7s, which are federal and state designations for nonprofit clubs.
Right.
And 501c3 is an educational organization. A 501(c)(7) is a service organization. Those groups have to be open to the general public. So that is the traditional way of doing a club. People just walk in. Well, what happens if you have a problem member? Often those problem members, they don't stay. They're either they're rude, or they have some other issues. They bother people, and they end up often running for election because
Mm,
no one else uh, wants to run. So your personnel, I don't want to scare people away, but you start a club with some like-minded people that you know. One alternative, so there's ways around that, but it also means your club has to be friendly, right? I've walked into some clubs where no one greeted me, right? Now, granted, fish people tend to not to be extroverted like you and I are. It's a more introverted group.
I'm a borderline introvert, man. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I'm an
But I
extrovert.
digress. Yeah.
Right. So, but when you get into a club, you should be welcomed into that club,
Right.
or there's certain basic things. But then you hear other stories about traditional aquarium clubs. I have more than one story of treasurers walking away with the entire treasury.
Right. Yep.
There's isolated incidents of coups, of backbiting. My old club that I was in that club for 25 years, and the turnover, me and one other person were the only person still in that club after 25 years. You have just turnover. So what is another method of forming a club that's easier and fun? Well, in 2019, I finally formed my own club, the Skylands Aquarium and Water Garden Group. If you go to sawgg.org, and I'll put that right in the chat. Well, actually, the chat doesn't really
I
matter
got you.
here.
The
All right.
homepage.
Right. sawgg.org. You can see how that club is formed. It's very different. And it's a club where everyone just loves it. So, what I noticed, I'll tell you a story here, Randy. I was back at my old club, and I was involved in the Northeast Council of Aquarium Societies. So, I went to a lot of different club meetings, and I speak all around the country. Most clubs function great. I just want to say this: most aquarium clubs function well. They have longtime members, but they can be stressful because there's a lot of work involved. There's
Hmm.
monthly board meetings. There could be infighting. You have public events. It could be a lot of work. And most clubs function great, but I don't know a club that hasn't had some problems with personnel or competition with others. But most clubs um, function well. So I went to a club in New Jersey. This was a Killifish Club.
They said the club meets at 8 p.m. on a Thursday night. On a Thursday night, I'm
It's
like,
a little late.
and now New Jersey is the most densely populated state in the nation. They're meeting in Lyndhurst, which is the most densely populated of the most densely populated state in the nation.
Mm,
Meeting during the weekday. I'm like, who could be at this club? I show up. There's people in this club. I go at 8 o'clock. It's late. People coming from upstate New York, 100 miles away. Long Island, crossing two bridges across the Hudson, coming from PA. Like, what's going
right.
on? I walk in there, it's tables. They set up tables. People are sitting around tables. I said, I've never been to a club where there's tables instead of theater style seating. No.
Right.
And they're drinking coffee. And okay, and I said, when does the meeting start? Well, soon. They're sitting around talking fish for an hour. At 9 o'clock, the meeting gets called to order. Really simple. They do a speaker, but the speaker program, it's either a film of an old speaker. It's not much. People aren't there for the speakers. And then they have the auction, which is always, in my opinion, the most popular feature of any
Yeah.
club. And people stay till like 11, 12 p.m. I mean, 12 a.m. I'm
Right.
like, what's going on here? I mean, there was no bowl show. There was no fancy speaker. They don't have board meetings. The auction was done very simply with cash only on a piece of paper. And I realize it's because of the vibe. It was set up as a social group. It was set up as a social club. It was
Hmm.
not set up as an aquarium society. Why are people traveling so far to hang out? Because that's what was needed. They have the auction and they're meeting with people. Those are the exchanging livestock and plants and meeting other hobbies and talking. At traditional clubs, they don't give you that much time to talk, and you're not physically set up to talk to people.
Ted,
This club was, and
do you
that's what
think
inspired me.
there's too much emphasis around the speaker portion of a monthly
Yes,
club meeting?
there is, and it's also stressful because
Hmm.
finding speakers
Yeah.
is stressful. Getting people to fly out to your club, come to your club if you're in a more rural area. So what I do in my club, Randy, our club, the Skylands Group, meets twice a month. Our speakers are on Zoom, and that's our second meeting. I can get nearly any speaker I
Right.
want. It's a lot more affordable. So here's the other funnel that comes in. When Randy, when you start having to do speakers, you have to pay for airfare, hotel,
Yep.
travel, food, and you're trying to pay rent maybe for your club. Now you have to start doing fundraisers. So now you have these board meetings and clubs, they discuss money, money, money. And some clubs think, making and how are we going to build up the treasury to afford this? I have my speakers on Zoom. I pay a very flat, I think $100 to $125 speaker fee, and that's it. It's less stressful. I
Hmm.
and the speakers love it. They don't have to get in an airplane or get in a car. They can speak from their home.
That was actually one of my questions. Have you run into anybody that only gives a live talk because they kind of like being flown out and like that's their shtick of like, no, you gotta fly me out. My talk is only in person. Have you come
No,
across any of those
never,
personalities?
never,
No? Okay.
absolutely not, never. There might be some people who say, "Yeah, I want to come to New York City. Can you fly me out?" A few of the foreign speakers like that, right?
Mm,
Generally, no. Let me just maybe backtrack. So then, because how I formed my club kind of affected what you and I are just speaking about here. So in
hmm.
2019, my current club had moved further south. It was a long, stressful drive for me. And I always wanted to form my own club in this northwest part of the state. There was never a club here. So I said, let me just do it a bit differently. So I wanted to get the informal nature of some of the aquarium plant clubs that meet at people's homes and just have a swap table to swap plants and talk
Hmm.
plants, and these killie clubs that I spoke about, but and also take the best things from the traditional aquarium society and fuse them. So my club, the Skylands Aquarium Group, is a hybrid club. What it is this: and here's some tips. I formed the club not as a 501c3 or 7. I formed it as a social club. So you don't have to originally, your club can just be a bunch of people meeting in your house and talking, but eventually, if more people join, you'll need a space. What I recommend people do, register as a nonprofit with your state. In most states, it's either free or it costs maybe $100. It costs in New Jersey $50. I funded that myself, and I set myself up as a social club. I didn't get federal designation, which you don't have to do. That's expensive. But
Mhm.
if you set yourself up as a 501c37 guidance, as a social club, a few things happen. First of all, you can curate the members who are in your club. You also, any funds have to come from the members in your club. So there's this break on getting in this fundraising mode, fundraising, which causes stress. As a social club, when you get designated by the state as a nonprofit, you can get space often free. So I get free space at the community center in my town because I'm registered as a nonprofit with the state.
Mhm.
That opened up things so much easier. You can meet at churches. One place that always has space available they can fill are churches.
Mhm.
Your churches sometimes give it, if you're a local nonprofit, they will give you the space for free or for a really low fee. You can rent that for maybe, $50. And then you'll have tables and chairs. You should find a space that has an AV system, with like a screen, because even though you might not have speakers, you might have members doing presentations, right? And that's what we do at my club. So my club SOG, we meet on a first Friday and we meet on a Friday night. Many clubs have moved to the weekends, which I think is even better. But I do Friday night. When you walk into my club, there's going to be social time for about 45 minutes to an hour. We have an auction table set up with a bunch of items. I'll show you a picture here to
Yeah,
give you
please.
an idea. So again, this is my hybrid club.
How many members do you have right now, Ted?
We have 60 and we have about 30 people, 35 coming to each meeting.
Wow, that
So
feels real healthy.
it's healthy, but we try to keep it small too here. So here's the club setup. You notice I did tables. That was so important for me to have people
Mhm.
around tables. When you sit around tables, you automatically meet people and everyone's friends. When I was back in my old club, I was in that club for over 20 years. There were still people I did not know because
I
we
think
all were facing forward.
to your point when you're talking about how clubs are typically in like an auditorium style
Yeah.
seating, which when I went to the Seattle club, they met at Seattle Pacific. Is it Seattle University or Seattle Pacific University? But either way, it's an auditorium style seating.
Yeah.
And I think we have this reaction from our days of being students. And when you walk into a classroom and you see that, you basically like subconsciously put yourself in student mode
It's
of
a good point.
go find a seat, sit down.
That's a good point.
I'm here to listen and learn. I'm not here to talk
Yes.
with my people next to me because you'll get in trouble. You'll get kicked out of class. You'll get written up.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a wonderful observation, Randy. I did not think of that, but it's true. We go back into student mode, and then it becomes either an entertainment venue or an educational venue. I
right.
spoke to an old timer in my club. He said when he had the clubs back in the 50s, they were done this way too. People sat around tables. They would bring the whole families, and the kids would have a separate room
Mm,
to like play. And often, the spouses were in there with them. And he said, television came along, people started staying home. But then he said, and he quoted me, he said, he didn't quote me, he quoted to me, he said, then we became an entertainment venue. We started doing auctions and speakers and everything else. Now, those systems still work. Those clubs are still friendly. People love to go to them. But I'm saying if you set up your club that way to start, it could be pass or fail. If
mhm.
you set up your club with people sitting around tables, um, it's generally, I think, successful because
Yeah.
people get to talk. Now, we also have a potluck table. We have a table set up for like food where people can just bring snacks. because primal human nature, sharing a meal together.
So
We have a cooler of
I'll touch on that note here of potluck. So I go to church every Sunday, and as a kid, the church that I went to was actually a Korean American church in Stockton,
yeah,
California, so Northern California. And one aspect there is that after every service on Sunday, Sunday school, adult service is a potluck. And so for those familiar with Korean food, sometimes we would have kalbi on like really fancy days, the Korean short ribs. Other days would be bibimbap, which is like the rice bowl with all the like the
yeah,
fixins, and you mix it all up. Some days would be hot dogs. Some days would be spaghetti and
yeah,
meatballs. But every Sunday, you could count on there being a potluck. And that was just like the greatest thing ever. And then as I got older, when I got into college and as a young adult, I started going to a more traditional American church. And American churches don't do potlucks. They don't do that kind of thing. And you don't have that same sense
right,
of even if it's a small church, because I went to small churches and large
yeah,
churches, that just doesn't exist. Large churches, obviously, are going to be a lot harder to
yeah,
pull off. But man, the potluck, though, there's
yeah,
something about that, like shared food. You're breaking bread. I mean,
yes,
Game of Thrones, if you fed somebody, you couldn't kill them, right? You had to
right,
give them like
that's
the
right.
1 day pass.
And Randy, I belong to the United Methodist Church, so we're all about food. So after every service, there's always a potluck coffee hour.
Oh man, I
You
got to
know,
check out some Methodist
yeah,
denomination. That you
that's
can.
I mean, the casserole I think was invented by us. So there's this,
That's
so
amazing.
and I think that also inspired me too. I said, you want to, and it says again, keep it. Here is the rule of my club. We put this in our. We finally made bylaws 5 years later. This is the operating principle in our bylaws: simple, fun, and friendly. That
Yeah,
is our guiding operating principle.
yeah,
Everything we do has to be simple. It has to be fun and friendly. If it's not, we don't do it. So
yeah.
we don't do big all day auctions because they're not simple, they're not fun to run, and people get on each other's nerves. If we do things, everything we do from how we do our auction to our meetings, simple, fun, and friendly, which is why I'm not coordinating speakers flying in. It's not simple. Simple, fun, and friendly. If you
Hmm.
follow that mantra. So we have a potluck. I mean, I will buy drinks and I'll go to Costco and buy a bunch of bag snacks and anything else. If people want to bring something, they can. But we're sitting around. We don't open up the meeting formally till like an hour later,
Hmm.
45 minutes later. Everyone's mingling, and we have stations set up. Everyone's mingling around the auction table. We have a club library. We have a bowl show where people bring in a fish or a small tank for a competition. Everyone's mingling around the potluck. There's mingling, there's talking fish. For me to start the meeting is challenging. At most fish clubs, yeah, right. At traditional fish clubs, like you said, people take a seat. If you don't start the meeting on time, come
Hmm.
on, start the meeting. Start. No, I
Yeah,
have to wrangle people. I have to herd cats to formally start this meeting.
yeah.
Everyone's such a
It,
good time.
if we took like three measures for a club, right? Like maybe like the presidents or whoever it is, you do a postmortem on your club meeting, and if you had three measures, right? So what was the initial social gathering like, right? The
Right,
second one is how was your speaker? How was it received?
right.
And the third was your auction. And I think that those are like the three
It's
main
funny that you
elements
bring that
of a
up
meeting,
because
right?
well, it's funny you bring that up. So what we do in our club, which is also unique, we have it in our bylaws. We try to make it as democratic the club as we can. We have a member survey each year,
Mm,
and that survey forms the basis of the next season when we meet and how we meet. And one of the things the survey items, what is your favorite things about the club? And year after year, the things that come on top are one, the auction. That always
hmm.
scores like a 10 out of a scale 1 to 10, and the social time.
Nice.
Those are the two things you have to hit. Exchanging livestock and plants. Now, you don't have to have an auction. You can make it into a swap table for free. People put stuff on a table. People can take something. You don't have to make it formal. We will talk about how to do an auction simply soon.
Yeah.
And the social aspect, people sharing information. If you nail those two, you don't need anything else. The
Tell
other stuff from speakers, bull show, monthly events, outings. That's all icing on the cake,
Right.
and good icing, really tasty icing.
Well,
But those are the two big ones.
so I would say like the store tours and the
We
not
do
not so much a
those
bull
too.
show, but any event where like you then need to like concentrate with people and like travel around or spend a bit more
Right.
time, intimate time with people. If you're already friends from the normal social hour, that becomes a lot easier
Oh, so
versus,
much easier.
hey,
Yes.
we're gonna go drive around to people's houses. Do you want to get in this
Yes.
minivan with all these people that you don't
Strange.
know?
Yes.
Like, no, no. Do
No.
I want to spend all day with them? No, I don't. And then for people to open up their homes, like for my sales days, it is so much easier to ask somebody to buy when you've made friends with them, right? Like it's harder
Exactly.
to say no to a friend. So if everybody's now social and everybody's friends with each other, it's easier to open up your home to people that are no longer strangers, right? Like you're
Right.
going to
And
have
that's an
some.
excellent point, Randy, because and I think when you set up your club in this format, you make friends quickly. You get to know people quickly versus the traditional theater style seating where I go to one club, you show up, they start the meeting like right away. You have no time to even turn to the person next to you and talk to them, right? So yeah, I think that's a very good point. Once you get to know someone, you can do those other things a lot
Mhm.
easier.
Tell me about your auction. Is there a
Yeah.
percentage split with your auction? Because I know that there's some different philosophies around the club's take versus what they let the person, like the actual
Yes.
auction, not the auctioneer, but the person that's putting up the item. Corey and Dean have talked about this before, and I definitely agree with them. And I'll just say what my lead in is that the club should take the smallest cut as possible
Oh, you and
to
I are so
encourage people.
simpatico here.
Yeah, to
E-
encourage people to bring items to actually sell.
Exactly. Randy, you and I are so simpatico. So many clubs, they do a 50-50 split in the
That's brutal.
Northeast, or they
50-50
do
is like,
70. So think about it. If you're doing a 50-50 split or a 60-40 split, you're treating your members as customers.
mhm.
You're setting up the wrong vibe. So what we do in our auction,
It's
remember,
more like
our
a
operating
colony.
prince.
It's like they're your
Yeah.
colonists and they have to send
Now,
back their tithing to you.
Now, I understand why, because if you have to fly, this is why, if you get rid of the notion of flying in and
Yeah.
paying for speakers, and I'll show you what we do instead when we get to that. If you have to find a way to rent space because you didn't register as a nonprofit, you become in the mode, how do we raise funds, and you lose the sense that the purpose of your club is to be a social club. So what we do in SOG, simple, fun, and friendly. That's our operating principle. We have the biggest split, I think. We do an 80-20 split.
Oh, nice.
And the reason we do that is because we're here to serve our members. And our
Mhm.
bylaws, when you set yourself up as a social club, if you look at 501c37, yes, 501c7 guidelines, a social club's existence is to serve its members, period, end of story. So if you're serving your members, I have to have a high split. I also don't want a big treasury. I see some clubs whose treasury, I'm like, if you're a nonprofit, it is unethical for you to have that much money saved up. I
Mhm.
don't understand why some clubs do this. My club stays intentionally poor. We don't
Yeah.
run big events. We don't rent hotels. I don't need a big treasury. If I have $1,000 in my treasury, I'm jumping for joy.
Well, I'm trying to think
What
like what's in your setup, like what would even be the minimum amount that you would need to feel comfortable? A couple $100 just to,
Yeah, I think
pay for some
yeah,
honorariums for some speakers, right?
yes. So
Like,
basically, right. But when you right, the pay and we have maybe 4 or 5 speakers per year on Zoom.
mhm,
That's it. And I'll show you what we do
mhm.
as an alternative. We'll buy some food, our holiday party. So between our 80-20 split at the auction, and what you find is if you set up your club this way, where your members come first, they begin donating. So
Mm.
many of our auction items are full donations. They don't even want the split. Here,
Well,
Ted, the club,
well,
take it all.
well, let's talk about a minimum too, right? So if somebody's going to set a minimum on their item, knowing
We
that it's
have
going to
no
be a
minimum
50-50,
bids. Minimum bids
if
are
a
not
club,
allowed.
so
Yeah.
let's say hypothetically a club had a 50-50 split, the
Yeah.
member there are certain members that do use the auction as kind of like a hobby revenue generate, like they want to help pay
Yeah,
for their hobby, and that's fine.
that's
But
fine.
they're then going to potentially, if the club allows a minimum, they're going to set a higher minimum because the club's going to take 50%. Whereas if it was like an 80-20 or 70-30, they
Like
would
ours.
have hopefully a lower minimum, if a minimum at all, right? Because they're going
Yes.
to get more of whatever it
And
goes for.
right, because remember, the purpose of your auction is what? To bring fish into the club to circulate among your members. The
Yeah,
purpose of your auction should not be making money. It is
right.
to serve your members. And so if you want to distribute new species in your club, encourage your auction. Give a high split. And then when you set up your club this way, where it's a social club, and members see, wow, they're giving me a high split. Your dues aren't extravagant. They go, I want to support this club. So we have I cannot tell you how many of our auction items are full donations
Mm.
because the
Speaking of,
members want to actually do it.
have we
Right.
have we
So
sent
you're
you have we
setting up a vibe.
have we sent you one of our club boxes yet?
Um, yes, you guys send me a nice donation to my club, and then each year, and I'll
Okay.
give a shout out to Aquarium Co-op. Thank you.
I wasn't fishing for it. We put
No,
together
no, 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 no.
we
You
put
are
together a box like a month ago, so I want to make sure you got the newest
yes, no, no.
box.
We actually got
Okay.
one from Candy, who's wonderful, by the
Oh,
way.
good.
And
Awesome.
so manufacturer donations, that's another revenue source to help support your club. And people love the Aquarium Co-op products. So they so there's other ways for you to generate income, but you can't set up a vibe where your members are customers. They are your
Yeah.
fellow members. So if you look at this picture here, Randy, what goes on in my club, my hybrid club? You'll notice the picture up there. There's people showing stuff on the screen. Those are members. Every week, every month, we have what's called hobby hacks, where a member can come up and give a hobby hack. Some may give a presentation. My friend JC on the upper right there is showing how he does uh, grindleworm cultures.
Mm.
But other people, they just come up, show a filter that they made, talk about it for like 1 minute, and sit down. Well, guess what? Once I started this hobby hack, we have like 4 or 5 people at every meeting come up and go, "Hey, I just want to let you know the new takes in Petco came in. Here's what I think about them." Another guy comes up, "Hey, I have a few slides. Let me show this." Another person comes up, "This is how I hold down airline tubing. I put a steel nut at the bottom and it holds it down." You do these over and over. And then I go, any questions about this? And people will ask them questions. Now we have a group discussion going. And because people are sitting around tables, they're talking to each other. And then me as the moderator directs those questions. That's the vibe. And
Mm.
that replaces our speakers. That goes on for like 20 minutes. And I think in today's day and age, people's attention span often can't handle. Here's the other thing. They
No, for
can't
sure.
handle the
Myself
speaker.
included, man.
I mean, some of these speakers go on too long, and I'm even guilty of this. When I do my tub pond talk, it goes long, and I always have to check myself. I try to keep my speakers. I love, people should talk for more than 45 minutes tops. But
Mhm.
these hobby hacks keeps it down to like 20 minutes. We do a show and tell. Maybe we'll show a YouTube video. Maybe
Mm.
we'll show and then we'll stop the video, and maybe it's about a resbora. Has anyone kept this fish? Or we show a YouTube video of someone doing their automatic water change system. Then a group discussion starts. And this works. And guess what? This is free. You don't got to pay for a speaker. People love this. This and the auction were their favorite things in our
Mm.
annual survey, not the speakers. This hobby hack and group discussion section that we lead the meeting off after socializing for about 45 minutes to an hour, and you keep it short. This is going to be
Mhm.
maybe with like announcements and hobby hacks, 30 minutes tops. Then we
Mhm.
take a break, and during the break, people get up, they mingle again, they have some more food, they look at the auction items. The auction table is always the most crowded, or they look at the bull show. You see that picture on the upper right? There's a
Mhm.
member who entered a thing into our bull show. The bull show is so popular. It's because what we do, if you enter either a fish, we'll give 2 prizes. We will judge the best fish,
and then we'll have people's choice. Everyone at the meeting will say what was their best bowl show entry. This one won as people's choice, and another entry that had the best fish won. And then we will give them a prize. Those manufacturer, those donations we get from the manufacturers, or I buy stuff on Amazon for like
Sure.
a few bucks. Everyone gets a prize when they actually win here. We'll also do other things. We'll do our tricky tray absolutely free. We will take some of the manufacturer donations, small things that are under $10, and we'll give everyone 2 raffle tickets, and they can put them in there, and we will call those tickets. Someone can win a prize. We always have a door prize too. I do not go around and ask people to buy raffles. I hate that. I hate when I go to a club and people keep soliciting me to buy raffles. It's like, am I your customer or am I your member? It's annoying.
Right.
So we do not do that at my club. If you have a raffle table, someone wants to work it and go up there, make sure you get the right legal thing to do that. But going around begging people for buying a raffle while you're giving them a split of 50-50, I'm sorry, but that's not a club. That's that's kind of a venue. So we
Mhm.
do our club a little differently. You'll see another bowl show item. We had a day in the tropics. We do theme meetings, Randy. In
Mm.
February, when it's cold here in New Jersey and snowing, we have a day in the tropics.
Nice.
Everyone has to wear a Hawaiian shirt. And the bowl
Oh,
show has that theme. As you
Ted, I
see.
need to show you my Papa button-up Hawaiian shirt that I got at the
I
Papa
want.
Festival. So
They had a
there's
pop-up festival?
oh, you don't know about you haven't heard me talk about the Ohio Papa Festival? Oh,
No.
you must be kind of
I grow two
selective
pawpaws.
deep in the mulm listener. But yeah, the Ohio Papa Festival in
Okay.
Athens, Ohio was phenomenal. It was one of the best kind of like outdoor festival events that I've been to. It was super
Okay.
clean. The setting was beautiful. That part of the country was amazing. But I bought a real slick shirt that if I was going to be there on February, oh man, it's like the background's pink, but it's like cut open pawpaws and the Asamina triloba leaves and flowers. Oh,
You have to send
it's yep.
me that link,
Let's
please.
see here. Actually, I might even be able to find it right now. So Project Pawpaw. I even told the guy
Yeah.
that I want to have him on my podcast, the Fish Podcast. That I'm so like I love Pawpaw so much that I just want to.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go. The original Hawaiian shirt. You're gonna love this thing.
We are,
Um,
folks, we are going off on a tangent, but pawpaws are a Native
oh, well,
American fruit.
have you ever heard me say this is a free podcast? So I'm at liberty to
Yeah.
do that and not always keep it fish related.
The damn squirrels ate my
You know,
pawpaws right before I was about to harvest them this
oh,
year, Randy.
nice.
Killed me.
Nice. You know, I
But
thought chipmunks were like cute animals because being from the West Coast, we don't like. I never grew up
no,
anywhere with chipmunks. I
they're the
thought they were
spawn of Satan.
adorable.
They're the spawn of Satan.
So I move here to Kentucky now. We've got chipmunks in the neighborhood. I'm like, oh, these things are adorable.
Yeah.
And I buy a couple blueberry plants from Costco. This is when we were renting our house. I had them on the south facing wall.
No
And the
way.
chipmunks, now keep in mind, there's no blueberries. These blueberry plants are like that tall. They just come and they bite it halfway in
Yeah.
the stem and just kill them.
Yeah, I know.
No, like, what do you do? You didn't even eat it. You just bit it in half. So
I'll
now
talk to you
I hate
afterwards
chipmunks.
about trapping them because it might
Oh
not
my
be.
goodness. I hope
It,
they're delicious. I hope I can make some chipmunk nuggets and fry them
there's
up
an
in some panko bread.
there is
Uh,
a humane way to trap them.
all
If you're
right.
interested, we will talk
Oh
about it.
man. I
But
mean, don't get me wrong, they're still adorable looking, but holy cow, those things are destructive. Wow.
they can, and they also harbor ticks. They're like the biggest vector for
Oh,
ticks. So I
really?
actually put
Okay.
tick tubes around my property every spring, which are cardboard tubes with cotton balls soaked in permethrin, and they'll take that back to the nest, and that will hopefully control the ticks that are on their body. They're a much bigger vector for Lyme disease than even deer are. So
Oh wow. I did not
something
know
else to
that.
keep in mind. But
Jeez.
also, if you see this slide here, we do a few things. Down at the lower right, you'll see the Aquarium Co-op filter there.
I
That
noticed,
is
yeah.
on our auction table. And I think that might be, and we have a little show and tell. We also do show and tell, hobby hack, show and tell. So all these things happen at the meeting.
We open the doors at 6:30. We're gone by 9:30. So it's a 3-hour meeting. We
Hmm.
also have a Breeders' Award program up on the upper right. But again, we make ours real simple. 1 point per fish. So if you
Hmm.
bring in a species and you bred a species, 5 fish at least 45 days old, you get like a point. Same thing
Hmm.
with a plant. Once you reach 10 points, you get your first award. Again, you don't have to do this. Most clubs, the clubs that I seem to be the most enjoyable are like that Killifish Club I told you. People just show up, have food, and exchange fish and talk. It
Hmm.
doesn't have to be this complicated, but everything we do is simple. Our auction is done on a cash basis. We pay people right there. We do it in Excel. We enter this stuff in Excel, so it's really, really easy. Nothing really, this is just how we do things here. And
Yeah.
then, again, a few things for our meeting. This is our day in the tropics meeting. You can see
Fun.
everyone dressed up. There's the bull show that I'm judging a fish with here. And then the
Was
auction, of
that?
course,
Can
is
you go
huge.
back one slide? Is that
Yeah.
bottom left? Is that Tony? Is that gentleman looks like a man named Tony that I went collecting with in Peru?
No,
Is
no,
that
no, no. That is
okay?
Samit who is in
Okay.
our club. Amit, who's in our club.
Shout out to Amit. You're in the
Shout out to
photo.
Amit. Callie Parker on the right from API.
Oh,
And
cool.
of course, the auction table. This is where most people congregate around. And during the pond season, we have a lot of plants and
Mm.
fish. A healthy Breeders' Award program, Randy, will encourage a good
You
auction.
you are not at a fish club auction unless you see somebody reusing a jam jar. I see that.
Yes,
I see that red and white. That what
guilty,
is it? Tartan plaid or whatever that plaid pattern
guilty.
is.
And you know
That is
something, when you think
love it.
about it, that is more sustainable than using a plastic bag.
Oh,
So
and it's way
we,
easier. Way
yeah, it's
easier.
way easier. We encourage
Yeah.
our members to use bottles rather than bags. And a healthy Breeders' Award program gets a better auction. The purpose of the Breeders' Award program is because you always have to breed a new species of fish or plant, but you
Mhm.
have to bring it into the auction. It's required. To enter a fish in the BAP or GAP, it has to be put in the auction, either as a donation or with the 80-20 split. So
Yeah.
that encourages a healthy auction.
Yeah.
And the auction is one of the most important because they're fun. The auctioning process is fun to watch and be in. It's an exciting part of any club. Now, some states you can't do a live auction. You don't have to do a live auction. You can do a silent auction. You can put the items with a little piece of paper on them. You can do a silent auction. You don't even have to have an auction. If you just want to meet to get together, I know a plant club that sets up a swap table. People bring in their extra plants and you just swap.
Mm.
It doesn't have to be complicated.
I'm curious. What's one state that won't allow you to have a live auction?
Well, I know in some of the tobacco states, you can't have a live auction
Huh.
because of the tobacco rules. When my friends were down the states in the Carolinas, they
Right.
had trouble doing live auctions, and they found a way around it eventually.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, no, and this is the other thing. So we meet twice a month. This is very different. Most clubs only meet once a month. I think if you want to form a tight group using the small group concept, which is a concept from the Methodist Church, and it's a concept around in community organizing. Small groups should meet frequently. My club meets twice a month. I think we might be the only club that does that, but it creates that bond. The second meeting, we don't have it in the meeting hall. We'll have an outing. Here we had a kayak trip at the lower part. We did a member fish room visit. We did a shop hop to a store called Absolutely Fish. We'll go out to lunch. That's one there. Or we'll have an online speaker, my good friend, the legendary Mike Helwig.
Hmm.
And we'll do those on Google Meet. Some people do them on Zoom. Google Meet to me is the most affordable option if you're a fish club
Right.
because you can get a Gmail address. Then with Google Meet, you get a Google Drive and you can put these on the drive and give your members access to that drive. So we will have our speakers this way. So our second event will either be online when it's cold out or outside.
So I'm just going to stop sharing. But by doing these things, you're creating a community of fish people. You're not creating an entertainment or an educational venue. So that's just how things we do it. We're kind of a hybrid between the really informal clubs and the traditional clubs, Randy.
Has there been any like hard lessons learned with this kind of hybrid format,
Yeah.
or like, what would you share with people of like, hey, here's some road bumps that you had, or what to expect with
Let's
this?
go back to what you had quoted from the great William T. Ennis, right? Um, what we do in our club to make sure things stay civil, we have a code of conduct. So when you go to my club website, sog.org,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see right away to be a member of the club, you have to live in the region, you have to keep fisher plants, and then we have a code of conduct. Avoid, okay, you can't talk about things that are objectionable or make other people uncomfortable. You have
Mm-hmm.
to create a civil environment. You can't be rude. Rude behavior is not tolerated. You have to have good hygiene, no smoking, right? Just having that up front on your website will curate your membership naturally. Because there's some people who know
The
that,
buttheads know that they're a butthead, and
yeah, the
they'll
buttheads
okay.
know that they're like a butthead. And then we say people who violate these rules, who are not civil, will be ejected. I had to eject two people in my club over the past 5 years. But guess what? It wasn't stressful. One person broke the rules. He was going around telling people the COVID vaccine is I'm sorry, the COVID pandemic was not real. This was in the heart of
Mm,
it in like 2021 when people in 2020 when people were like dying. I
mm,
said, hey, you, a few of my members said, hey, I don't come to a fish club to hear this nonsense.
right.
It's bothering me. So I called him. I said, hey, just to let you know, this is not acceptable. I gave him a single, a single warning shot. Next month, he goes back again, now telling people who to vote for.
Mm,
I sent him an email. I returned his membership fee and said, I'm sorry, but you're out of the club. Easy. It wasn't any confrontation. That person was gone. Another person would come in with messaging on their hat and on their t-shirt, which made people uncomfortable. I let him know. He said, I don't care. I said, well, then this is probably not the club for you. And I returned his membership. You know,
mm,
again, stress free. That's the only, so the lesson I learned from that is with my club, I curate my membership. You have to be invited in. It's not an open door because I set my club up as a social club, a 501(c)(3)(7). Um, if you go on our website, you'll put in the contact form, I'm interested. And it doesn't take much to go on Facebook or on social media to see if this person is going to be a problem or not.
mm.
Generally, it's not. I've never, I think only one time in the past 5 years have I not responded to someone because they know right up front what's right up front of my page. I go, you are going to sit around tables face to face with people. You should be comfortable with this.
Mm-hmm.
That gets rid of a lot of people right away. The other thing is you have a code of conduct. We have a moral clause in there too, which is a legal clause that says if you have been convicted of a crime of moral turpitude, you cannot join. That keeps out anyone who might be, um, let's say, extremely objectionable for moral reasons. Anyone who has been done, sexual assault or anything like that.
Right.
But having all that stuff on upfront naturally curates your membership. Then they send in a contact form. We invite them to the meeting. We welcome them in, and as soon as I walk in the door, me or another person comes up to them, go, "Hi, how are you?" We show them around, and we introduce them to people, right?
Mm,
And some people, if you're some, most people join, some people don't because they might be really shy, and that's fine. And that's how we build the membership. I don't have open admission or open door policy. And I think that's what makes my club work because right away I'm getting people who want to be in a community, not people who are going to be, you know, blabbermouthing, interrupting the auctioneer, bringing their posse of friends to sit at a table and be like a clique.
Right.
So I think if you look at our front page of our homepage, right away it tells you what to expect and what's expected of you. And people come here. People love my club. I mean, people have made new friendships here, and it's been one of the best things that I've ever done.
Nice.
So that's a very long-winded answer to what lessons have you learned. So
Oh, why did my video just change? Sorry. Can you still hear me, Ted?
I can
All
hear
right.
you, and
Back
you
to
are
that cam.
now,
Yeah.
and now you're back to that
Yeah,
cam
I don't
share.
know why. I went to mute so I could cough because of this fun respiratory nonsense I'm dealing with in my
But
wonderful
Randy,
congestion.
I would say whatever how you set your club, make it simple. Now,
Yeah.
here's one other thing that our club does. We do not have elections. Ooh, this is really sort. We set up the club. Here's a twist as a perpetual board. So I
Mm,
founded the club with two other people. We then, as the club started meeting after a couple of years, we said, hey, that person would be good on the board, that person. And we had them join the board. So we now have a board of trustees of 9 people. It's perpetual. The trustees pick the other trustees. Guess what? The members don't care. No one has said to me in 6 years, how come we are not having elections? Elections in civic organizations, often the people you don't want to run your club are the ones who run for the elections, right?
well,
And so we just have that perpetual board. And Randy, we meet once a year. We
yeah,
don't have monthly meetings because we don't need to, because we've made the club simple.
yeah.
We meet
Well,
once a year because the state uh, requires it. It doesn't have to be more complicated than this.
yeah, there's also the people that are just perpetually the president, vice president, treasurer because nobody else wants to run, and they may do a good job at it, but they
Many,
feel
many do.
indebted. They feel guilty and indebted to the club that they're like, well, I guess I'll be the president again, and we'll keep this thing going. But
You stress
again,
people out.
that can only last so long before that person gets burnt out and is like, look, I'm going to step away. Like this
Well,
isn't.
see
I
that
don't want
that's
to do
why
this
it's
anymore.
important to keep your club simple. If you're constantly
Hmm.
looking at how do we raise money to
Yeah,
pay for speakers, to pay for rent, and you have board meetings, which go far too long, by the way, do you really need to have them in this day and age? I mean, it's just a fish club. What are you really deciding upon? If you're
I
having
love
big
it.
events, yeah, but and if you delegate things, right? If you keep
Mhm.
your meetings simple, um, so I
Yeah,
think one of the best things I did was get rid of the elections and do the perpetual board of trustees. Now, when do we meet? Suppose a member gets ill and we want to send them flowers. All right, I'll send a text to my other 8 trustees. Hey, can I spend $40 to send this member a some type of fruit basket? They'll say yes, and we'll send it out. So we don't have to have a meeting. We can do that
yeah,
like text. Um,
yeah.
we decide once a year on what the schedule will be next year. But and you know what? No one complains. Everyone likes it because it's all about getting together. It's
Yeah.
not about the process.
What about the initial finding members? So did you have already some members from the previous club that were in your area
Yeah,
that were like, hey, this is a
I had
bummer that the club moved?
I had about a dozen people who were in my region of the country, my region of New Jersey, who would be interested in starting a more of a social club. So those, and then the other part, I will tell you, Aquarium Co-op, we got a lot of our members from you guys. You guys have that Aquarium Club page. And
Hmm.
because you're popular, many of my members found out about my club going to your page.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we also have a website out,
Hmm.
and I also advertised if you want to form a club, if you go to the Facebook town groups in the surrounding towns, every town has its own group started by someone.
Hmm.
You
Right.
can post on there, hey, I'm starting a regional club if anyone's interested. We've gotten people from there.
Nice.
um, $10 advertising on Instagram and Facebook can get you enough exposure if you target it
Hmm.
to maybe a 10-mile radius of your club,
What
and
about
we'll build slowly. So
Yeah. What about partnerships with like local fish stores and like also if a local fish store has the space, is there any is
yeah.
that a slippery slope of hey, can we meet at the fish store?
Yeah, if I know some clubs that have their meeting at the fish store. Let me tell you my take on that. I don't I don't solicit donations and discounts from local pet shops because these shops are struggling.
Right.
Retail is struggling with paying rent and everything else. I don't want to bother them. I will go to a major manufacturer. You guys have offered stuff to my club, which has been wonderful. And that's what I will use for donations. But usually we do a shop hop. I will tell the club, hey, we're going to bring a whole bunch of members, maybe about 15 people to visit your store. Usually they say, great. When they come, let them know what your club is. We'll give them a 10% discount. If they offer that, I say that's wonderful. And I'll put their name on our website, but I generally don't bother them. Again, I want to keep things simple. I don't want to start, but yeah, that's something that we can do. I know some clubs do have their meeting at a local store one day, and the store will welcome them in and have raffles. That's wonderful if you do that. But don't make it so complicated. Keep it what you can manage, and it's going to be a big function, Randy, of how many volunteers you have. Right?
Yeah.
That's
So
really
I
the
think
big issue. Volunteers is the other issue.
Yeah.
And that's why if you keep it simple, you need less volunteers.
Yeah, I think that's like really, if anybody is like taking a word count, keeping it simple and focusing on the community aspect of just talking to other people and sharing seems like the real like cornerstone of
It's the
building out
cornerstone.
a
It solves
successful fish
so
club.
many problems. It solves
Yeah.
problems from having to pay for speakers. It solves problems finding volunteers, which is hard nowadays. It's like I said, people have been bowling alone. So you need to, try to keep us. This is called the small group format, right? You're doing a small group format. My club is a hybrid between a traditional aquarium society and a true small group. But, if anyone ever wants to speak with me or meet with me on Google Meets and go through some more of the specifics, I'd be happy to help you. I do this all the time. Like every 2 months, I'm meeting with somebody. There's more clubs forming now, which is wonderful. And some are forming in the traditional way, which is great. I wish them all the luck. And some are forming like, getting together and sharing a pizza down in the fish room.
Yeah, and I think that's where Corey and Zenzo have really latched onto that too, that
Yeah.
small group concept of, 4, 5, 6 people, whoever it is, open up your homes to each other,
That's all you
rotate,
need.
spend time in each other's fish rooms. And because I mean, you can have a good time in somebody else's fish room, just walking
Great
around,
time. I
looking at what's
love
going
fish rooms.
on.
Oh, I
Look
love
at
that.
look at the crazy DIY thing. Man, if anybody would have seen the plumbing hacks and nonsense that I did in my own fish room, they could probably spend 30 minutes just looking at my manifold for my auto water change system. Like, what the
You are
heck?
absolutely right. I think the best field trip, because as I said, my club meets twice a month. Our favorite field trips is when we visit. We have a tub crawl in August where we will get in the cars. We'll visit members' outdoor tubs, which is what I'm big on, as you know, or some of their outdoor ponds. In the winter, we'll visit a fish room. That's everyone's favorite.
For sure. Yeah, no, those are a blast. Well, Dr. Ted, any final thoughts for us? We're going on an hour and a half here, and I just want to be respectful of your time. And I've had a blast talking with you. But
Oh, it's been great.
anything you'd like to leave us with?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry for being so long-winded, but I'm
No. It's
so
good.
enthusiastic about this. It adds so much to your life, your hobby. There's an isolation part to the hobby. Here am I in my man cave fish room. I love coming down here during the winter months. It's quiet, but there's a social aspect that this hobby has been in the hobby for well over 100 years across 3 centuries. Try to make that part of your life, whether it's attending a show like the Keystone Clash or going to a swap meet, going to an existing club, or forming your own group in a very simple, easy way. Try to do that because not only will you make new friends who are like-minded, you'll also be able to exchange species and plants and expand your hobby. So, and I want to thank Aquarium Co-op for being a part of that, both through the website where you list all of the clubs, which has been helpful for my club, this podcast that you're doing, and Corey latching onto this notion of small groups.
Yeah, so if somebody is starting a club and they want to get on the Aquarium Coop list, I think you just email us shipping@aquariumcoop.com and talk to our customer service and see if we can get your club listed on that finder so people can can search for it. So, Dr. Ted, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll reconnect in another 5 years when we'll do this. We'll do this sooner than that. I love when you're like, "Oh, are you starting the podcast up again?" I was like, "Oh, I didn't know."
I've been bugging you to start up this podcast.
I know.
For
You
years.
hit me up with an annual message where it's like, "Hey, Randy, you want to talk about some tubs?" I'm like, "Yes, I do," but I'm a bad.
Well, no, because I just have to tell you, everyone listens to this cast, and we love, those interviews I did with my old friend Rosario were just marvelous. They're that we actually have that in place, an interview with him, and you have all these great topics, and everyone when I go to the clubs, how come Randy hasn't podcasted? Well, I go, I don't know. I keep bothering him to, because people like to listen to these while they're changing their water.
Yeah.
And it's a very good resource. So I encourage you, because you are a good interviewer and you have interesting topics. So keep it up.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ted. I appreciate it, and I don't want to do the YouTube thing where people are like, "I'm back." I've never wanted to do that, because then it's almost like a curse where you're like, you're not back and you don't. So I'll continue to give it my effort to produce these at somewhat of a more regular cadence. And I honestly, like, I don't want to drag this out farther, but I think one of the things personally in my own hobby is that since we've been kind of transient and moving around from Washington to Idaho to now Kentucky, I haven't had a fish room. And there's almost like an internal guilt of like, not only am I already like a seasoned novice, as I call myself, but it feels like you've got less to bring to the table, or you almost have like no business, speaking on the subject when you don't have a fish room. So I've had a little guilt. I've had a little guilt myself, but I've propped up a couple tanks here in the warehouse, and like I mean, crud, my job is in the aquarium hobby, so I
don't think you have to worry about that. I think that is a unfounded fear.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So keep it up.
Thank you, Dr. Ted. I appreciate it, man. You have a great rest of your day, and let's talk. We'll connect again, do a little Keystone Clash debrief, and talk some more about live bears. And actually, like, I realize the season's passing, but talking about like the breaking down of tubs as well.
Yeah, I have 2 videos of that on my YouTube channel, the Tub Pond Handbook, which is based on my book, the Tub Pond Handbook, which is available on Amazon.
Well. I'll link all that stuff.
But starting up your tubs early, in late winter, getting ready is when you should start thinking about it. So that's just that's so a whole other topic.
What you're telling me is, Randy, you can have me on any time of year to talk about tubs, not just in a specific part of the season. I like it, Dr. Ted. I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, I tubs are a big passion, but I think this notion of starting an aquarium club or joining one, this is the thing. I mean, I just started a bowling league too. The notion having small groups in your life is one of the most important things you can do to enhance your life. And it's my mission, really, to get people to start more small groups.
What's your bowling average? What are you bowling?
I bowl a 125, sadly.
That's higher than me.
Yeah. I'm trying to go up to 150, but
nice. Man, bowling is, I don't know, dude. Bowling's hard. That's a tricky one.
No, bowling is fun. I want you to think of it that way. Just like forming an aquarium club is hard. No, forming an aquarium club is fun. You got to change the narrative, Randy.
Or do we say it's rewarding?
It's rewarding.
It's rewarding.
Right. It is rewarding. Not
that's
hard.
Gonna be. I think that's going to be the title of this Aquarius podcast, featuring Dr. Ted Coletti on aquarium clubs being rewarding, and then in parentheses, and bowling too.
Yes, and bowling too.
All right, Ted. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I look forward to talking with you again, and hopefully seeing you in person soon.
Hope so, Randy. Have a great one.
Bye, Dr. Ted.
Ciao.